almost all last season we were going, wow, no one's been fired yet. Yeah, that is very out the window. 4 coaches have been fired around the league so far, although it is worth noting that, at least at the time I'm shooting this video, none of those coaches is Dave Hextall of the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers have, however, fired their general manager, Ron Hextall. Don't get me wrong, a coach getting fired is a big deal. But when a general manager gets fired, there's not many people above them who can do it. We're talking ownership, or in this case, a president, namely Paul Holmgren, who, by the way, used to be the general manager. When coaches get fired, I think players are like, oh man, you know, we gotta pick it up. And in some cases, some players are probably even relieved. But when a general manager gets fired, you can say with some confidence that they're not gonna be the only person to go. It is a hard change of direction. Speaking of which, this comes directly from the Philadelphia Flyers themselves. The Flyers organization has decided to relieve Ron Hextall of his duties as executive vice president and general manager. We thank Ron for his many significant contributions, but it has become clear that we no longer share the same philosophical approach concerning the direction of the team. In light of these differences, we feel it's in the organization's best interest to make a change effective immediately. I have already begun a process to identify and select our next general manager, which we hope to complete as soon as possible. Hey, yeah, so thanks and everything and all that, but we fundamentally disagree with you. Speculation's been wild on hockey Twitter, people speculating that Ron Hextall was fired because he wouldn't fire Dave Hextall, or fired because he wanted to. So I'm gonna guess one of those is wrong. But another thing I've seen a lot of people talking about, and it was something that surprised me, is he was fired mid-season, early season even. Usually general managers are fired sort of in the off-season, right? There's a lot of work to do in season. I actually happen to think Ron Hextall is a pretty decent GM, but I do agree with the idea of firing a GM early on if you're unhappy. Because if you think your general manager has created a mess, do you really want them to clean it up themselves? But this is a big year for the Flyers, and expectations are high for the Flyers. Look at their cap-friendly page right now. In terms of unrestricted free agents with an expiring contract that I think teams would be very interested in, I see Wayne Simmons, and that's about it. Jordan Wheel probably gets you something. Yuri Laterra, I don't think gets you anything. And of course on IR, there's Michael Neuvirth and Brian Elliott, who I'm not even sure the Flyers want. Wow, does that team need a goalie? To the point where I think that's going to be part of the interview process. Paul Holmgren says he's already started calling guys. One of the first questions on that job interview has to be, how are you going to get us a goalie? Because James Van Riemsdyk just signed a deal paying him $7 million a season, and both Claude Giroux and Jakub Voracek both make over $8 million. This is a team that thought they were a lot better than they currently are, which is 5 points out of a playoff spot, by the way. And while that's still early, if you don't have faith in your current management group, the time to act is now. You could hire any available GM in the league. You could get some long-tenured guy, you could get some young guy with some new ideas, you could put Gritty in there. If you don't get a goalie, you're still screwed. Heck, the Flyers fired a goalie from the management box because they couldn't find one on the ice. Although, who knows, maybe this means they can sign him. You imagine Ron Hextall and today's NHL players wouldn't know what hit him, literally. Teams calling up Felix Potvin like, hey, are you still retired? Okay, but like, how retired? This is such a fascinating deal to me, because I agree with firing GMs early on rather than letting them try to clean up their own mess and make it worse. But I kind of disagree with the guy who was fired, because I think he was maybe one piece away. So knowing that, and with the flavor of that statement released by the Flyers, I gotta think there's something else at hand here. I wonder if this has been getting more and more rotten for a while now. And if it hasn't been, then they reacted very badly to a big loss over the weekend. But I turn it over to you. There's a comment section down below. What do you think of this move by the Flyers? Are you surprised? Do you think it's the right move? Do you think the coach is next to go? How do they fix their little puck stopping problem? Who gets traded, if anybody? And is it possible for the Philadelphia Flyers to still make the playoffs this season? Because you know that's the expectation. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it, because you know someone else is probably going to get fired by the time this is even posted. Tell all your friends that if they work in the NHL, they better watch out.